the book, Ladies in Tech. The cover girl. Come on, Tech. The cover girl is Kenyatta Powers-Rucker, and we are so excited to have her taking center stage with us and owning it tonight in the Author's Corner. Welcome to It's Your Life, Own It magazine, and I have with me co-hosting tonight's interview, Jacqueline. Lulu Brown is in the house with me. Jacqueline, say hello to the people.
Hello. Greetings, everyone.
I'm excited to have Jacqueline here with me because she is the IT expert in the Own It family. And we wanted to make sure that we gave you a power impactful interview with our superstars that are on tonight. We want to say also to you, we are celebrating all from this point on throughout the month. We're celebrating women, but and congratulations to all the women out there for celebrating International Women's Day.
Yes.
I posted it on there. It's not just today, it's every day that we should be celebrating one another in the sisterhood. So without further ado, we're going to bring out the visionary author, Kenyatta Powers-Rucker. Come on out. Hey. Yes.
Hello.
I know you have to be super excited about this project. It's amazing. I know your adrenaline must be high. Talk to us a little bit about what encouraged you to do that. Where did this all come from? What got you excited about it and gave you the audacity to believe that you can get it done?
The audacity, yes. Well, being a lady in tech for the last 25 or so years, you always want to see more people around the table that look like you. You always want to see people in this environment that looks like you. Although where I have been in DHS, and we do have an abnormal amount of females than normal. But you always see in these situations where you want to being able to enhance, and you see these numbers, and the numbers are just terrifying of what percentage we are as a 40, almost 50% of women in the workforce, and we're still only 25% of in tech careers. Mm-hmm. And so why is that? Why are there so few women in tech? And so it was always my goal, especially growing in the later years of my career, was to try to encourage and try to support and inspire other young ladies in tech. So I've been around the country speaking and talking and mentoring and sharing my story, sharing my experiences, and wanting to engage with people so they can see, yes, I am the first African-American female to be the Chief Information Officer for the Maryland Department of Human Services.
Yeah.
And it is possible for you too. And the ladies in this book have so many firsts of their own that we just have to share it. It's like we're sitting on so many stories, we're sitting on so many experiences that could really, really help someone else. And so you're thinking that, yes, what types of situations do we face? Every situation that's in this book is a woman, and not just a woman in tech, but women may themselves have gone through some of these situations and didn't know how to deal with it. And that was me. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody to help me through my career. Figure it out for yourself. Figure it out for yourself. So, and the person I did think was a mentor, that's a whole nother story.
I could only imagine.
So I wanted to have a resource that other ladies in tech, and again, and although it's prefaced with ladies in tech, this book can help any women in any career for the most part. We all face imposter syndrome, right? Learning how to do interviews and being confident in who you are and what you do. Learning how to negotiate a salary. All of that is things that even the average woman in a career would need some assistance with. So this is the book.
So Lulu, do you have any questions before we bring on the other authors? Do you have any questions for the visionary?
No, I'm just going to let us bring the other authors in and engage in the conversation.
All right, awesome. So we have Maria Thorpe coming up, Pamela Minor coming up. We have Sabrina Lowery coming up, Ashley Esposito.
Yes.
Welcome, ladies. Welcome to being in the house with us. We're so excited for you to be here. And Lulu says, this is your crowd. I'm going to let you do most of the chatting and talking because I mean, just the conversations we were having backstage and just listening to the history and, you know, all the richness of that history. I just really want to sit back and glean from you all. And so I'm going to hand it over to you, my sis, to take control. You know what this audience needs to hear.
Well, I'm going to kind of go back to and pass it to Kenyatta. She talked about not having that mentor. And the challenge that we have is that people look at us and they think that our mentor is supposed to look just like us. Yeah. And the challenge with having a mentor that looks just like you, that came through the struggle, is that 9 times out of 10, what you're going to get is the war stories, but you don't get the real solutions. You don't get how other people think and what you need to know. Simple things. When you want to command the attention of the room, and we're just going to be real here, you're in a room with all white males. And you know, people are flipping through paper and you're on point, you're showing up in excellence, but you're not commanding the room. Sometimes someone that looks like you has not mastered that themselves. So you have to be willing to step out and go to people that look like them, that think like them, that wake up in the morning and what's on their mind based on what they saw on the news. So there's a whole psychology that is really required to understand how you navigate those waters. So having said that, Kenyatta, can you share with us some of the things that real key lessons that you learned and that you can pass on as a mentor, but you didn't have a mentor to teach you those things?
So I totally agree about having, I'm going to say, a diverse set of mentors as well. So as well as we need diversity in certain areas in the workplace, and having a diverse set of mentors. And thinking that we need mentors in different areas of our life, not just professionally, personally, financially, emotionally. So the different types of mentors that you need as well. All of them don't have to be Black. All of them don't have to be female, right? So I did find my current mentor right now. It is an African-American male, but he sees things so much differently than I. And some things that I, you know, in a lot of situations, it goes back and forth. And you have that mentor-mentee thing, and I help him in situations, and he helped me in situations. And so it definitely has proven to be very, very helpful and beneficial to me. And even the people that I mentor, I would say most are African-American females. But I was definitely one of those trying to venture out as well, you know, and I guess the females kind of flock to you per se, but also wanting to venture out. But I like the thought and the idea of not having to have everyone to you know, to look like you.
Yeah, because like Lulu said, they have a different perspective on the solution, how to navigate that. You know, folks that look like us don't know how to navigate those different waters because we don't even have access. So that's critical. And it's interesting because even outside of technology, IT, I remember, and it's really, really nice to hear that it's not just me. You know, that whole thing, oh my God, it has to be you, Marissa, because you must be the problem, right? Why couldn't I find mentors? And I kid you not, no matter how humble I was, I always been very self-confident, but no matter how humble I was, no matter how teachable I presented myself to be, people ran in away. They would not mentor me, and you definitely need someone to guide you
Mhm.
in order for you to elevate. Because one of the key factors is here. It's not only that it's ladies in tech, but you're sharing your experience for the reader to have a successful career, and that's what we all need to level up, right? So let's hear from your co-authors. Who wants to go first? Who wants to say why they got on the bandwagon and said they were going to take the plunge with Kenyatta? All right, Maria, what you got?
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here this evening. I got on the bandwagon with Kenyatta for the very reason she discussed. I am a lady in tech. I thought the story she was wanting to tell would be right on point, and the co-authors, they have such diverse experiences, and I just thought it would be an awesome project. And being a lady in tech, I'm actually, my chapter is about mentoring. And so I'm hopeful that the words that I share with folks will give them at least a starting point of going out there and getting that person who can help them be successful. And it's usually more often than not, since in many cases we are the only ones in the room, that person won't look like you.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah,
okay. It's really okay, because what you're trying to get out of the relationship doesn't require that to be.
yep,
And
yep.
so I'm excited again to be a part of this project, and I'm just looking forward to it helping so many others.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So since Maria brought it up, I would like to know, starting with Pamela, then we'll go to Sabrina, and then Ashley, what are your expertise? Because you are in IT, and there is, based on you guys knowing each other, there's a diversity here. So, Pamela, you want to share about your expertise and what part of IT have you been in?
Sure. I started in IT as a Fortran programmer. And I got into Fortran programming not because I had a computer science degree or any of that. I actually had a mass comm degree from Towson. In Towson University, we were actually the first university class of Towson because they were a college before. And they didn't even have a computer science degree. I knew nothing about computer science. I got out of college during the height of that major recession back in our day. I'm a little dated here, and I was trying to find my way. I couldn't get a job. I was in mass comm. I would have to go different places. I got a job as a receptionist in an environmental earth science firm with my first husband. That was the networking piece. And that's what my chapter is about, networking and connection. So my first network connection was based on my husband being an engineer in earth science at Dames and Moore. And there was a job in the Washington Post for a junior programmer. It wasn't posted in the building. It was in the Washington Post. I happened to see it. I found the guy because I was a receptionist who posted it. And I asked him for the job. And
Wow.
he said, because I already had a degree, I was coachable and teachable. And if I agreed to go back and get a computer science degree, I could have the job. And I
Wow.
did.
Wow.
Wow. How now? Listen, we're gonna all date each other, or we're gonna date to one another to a certain to degree. How about that? Where you used to be able to just call somebody, you were able to find a job in the newspaper. You used to pick the newspaper up and look to see what was available in your area, and then you were able to call somebody and have a conversation. Not
Mhm.
thanks to technology. But wasn't it simple? It just seemed to me simpler back then than it was now. But that is networking is key, though. Networking, collaborating, having the conversation, the confidence to have the conversations that are necessary. That
And my
is,
career continued because of networking. And that was because I was a golfer and I was a golf instructor. I played golf with the deputy CIO at a Navy base. And that's how we didn't talk business. We got to know, like, and trust each other.
That's important. That's high performance teams, right? They get to know each other. They understand the common value. They have a group think. There's no nonsense. They know the value of getting to the finish line. And so, Sabrina, what's your expertise and background?
Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on your platform this evening. It is my honor and just pleasure to share International Women's Day with my co-author family, the ladies in tech. Shout out to all the phenomenal women doing big things. And I am a coder by trade. I started my IT career in the mid 80s, even though I don't look a day over 16. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I am a mother of 3 sons. I am a wife, and I specialize in doing all things tech. I have been very, very intentional about my career. I started out developing software for a major children's clothing brand that shall remain nameless, because that was the pivot in my journey from corporate America into entrepreneurship, because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have an ally. I was in the room as the only skirt in the boardroom at the time. And I'm a Northerner that was working in a Southern job with an environment that was full of Georgia Bulldogs and Atlanta Braves. And when I would show up with my Florida Gators and my New York Yankees gear, there was problems. So let's just start there, right? So my history is absolutely all things from my second language being code. I did code in the language Pascal. I've done SQL. I've done Oracle. I've done business writing. I've done help desk tech support. I've done those instructor manuals. Remember back in the day when applications and software products came with booklets and manuals? I was that chick because my soft skills was in writing and communication. So most people in IT tend to just be introverts and very soft-spoken. Well, I'm the loud mouth of the bunch, and I'm going to bring all the energy, and I'm going to be the outspoken one that's going to get put out the room at every occasion. So that is exactly why I had to stand my ground in the 90s when I became a mother. And when things got a little bit rough, y'all know, you got to make a pivot. And so my pivot was into entrepreneurship. I started 2 companies. My IT consulting firm is Sabrina Lowery Enterprises, LLC. And I am also a realtor, a member of the National Association of Realtors for the past 2 decades, y'all. Yes, count them, 20 years of serving the community and helping people learn about home ownership, wealth building, generational legacies. And that is something that I advocate for, in addition to the STEM and STEAM career pathways.
Go ahead.
Woo! Sabrina, we must be related. I'm telling you, we have to be related, because I am an extrovert and I'm over the top. And I will tell you that, yes, we tend to make people, back up. And sometimes that's what they need. Because being in that extrovert and not afraid to be the louder voice in the room, it doesn't just open doors for ourselves, but it opens doors for others that are coming along with us. Because the whole thing is to bring as many as you can, pave the way for as many as you can. And so, I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Who's up next?
Hi, I'm Ashley Esposito. Hi. Yeah, so I started at DHS with Kenyatta, but I started as a clerk. So I was opening mail and just date stamping things, putting things in boxes. It was a whole a whole process. But doing that job, I had taught myself how to build databases. And so I took it upon myself to basically automate my entire office. I didn't even know that tech jobs were like a thing. I just thought I was doing clerical work. And so, yeah, I created databases to automate my position, and also the case managers, making it easier for them to determine eligibility for long-term care in the state of Maryland. And basically what happened is I was told to put my databases on an external hard drive and bring them to our central office. And I thought I was getting fired, and I got a job. So, yeah, so it ended up being really cool. I ended up in a career path that I didn't even know was available. And through like training that I received at DHS, I ended up becoming a back-end developer. And now currently I'm scaling up to become a React developer. So it's more on the front end. And for me, I think my story and my situation kind of shows that there's opportunities out there for neurodivergent people, and that is what I am. So, being somebody that, fell through the cracks when it comes to the education system or having access to certain types of careers, I taught myself how to code while I simultaneously had a 1.4 GPA in high school. Wow. So there's an opportunity there that I believe, we can identify students that aren't, the way that the school system's set up isn't working for their brain, but they could be excelling in another field if we expanded computer science and also just had that representation there. Because for me, like seeing Kenyatta and others in DHS, it's always been normal for me to see women in positions of power in the tech industry. So going into the private sector and seeing a much different system, I'm able to identify areas that need to be kind of dismantled in a way. Like I think culture tests as part of the interview process have been a huge factor in the lack of representation. I don't think that there should be any culture tests, especially if we're understanding that we lack that representation in the private sector. And also, like, aside from all this and helping with the book, like I also am a student mentor, and I'm also serving on the school board. So I'm hoping to make sure that we're funding all those programs and, just supporting neurodivergent students too.
Awesome.
Can I add to this for Ashley? First of all, two things that she said that kind of hit a nerve a bit. One was she didn't even realize that IT was a thing, right? And that she was doing something that she didn't even realize was an entirely different career path for her. That's another reason for this book, so that others can realize that, yes, these things that we're doing, there are career paths, there are different career paths. So some of your story can resonate with so many different people. I was at Baltimore Design School today, and talking to kids about careers, and that was like the perfect segue. They weren't even thinking about a tech career, but you need tech in everything that you do. So kind of really giving them the idea of, yes, it is a thing. And the second thing she mentioned was seeing me was a norm. So that kind of shocked me, right? Because you think it's not really, seeing me in leadership was the norm. When she went outside, it's like, okay, wait a minute. This is a little different on the outside. So now that kind of, gives my heart a little joy that, we can see that, yes, there are women in leadership positions, and going outside of that and not seeing that, it's like, okay, well, where they at over here?
Right.
You don't have any women over here. What's going on?
Right. I can remember being at AT&T Bell Laboratories, and because at that time I was dating my my ex-husband, and the secretaries didn't even know that they were doing shell, which is programming. They were doing dot commands. And the only reason I knew is because that's who I was getting ready to marry, a software engineer. And so just explaining to them that, do you understand that this is not just typing, you are programming. So all of those individuals who were secretaries for AT&T, I just want to let you know, you were really IT, you were programmers. So just letting you, because I used to tell them, I said, do you understand that we're programmers? Like we're doing this. And AT&T also offered for you to take shell. You could take Shell, Unix. You had the opportunity because back in the day, like Sabrina said, they had manuals. We all had administrative staff had to have manuals for our desk because God forbid if any one day we could not come back into that office, anybody can come to our desk and take over our job immediately. That was training and development by AT&T, and that's why AT&T is still here, is because of their past training and development. I don't know what they're doing internally today, but I know that reading a few years back, that is exactly why they are still around as a company. It's because of the training and development. And so that actually, I'm with Kenyatta. I'm thoroughly impressed with the fact that that's a norm for you to see it. And I have to say that on the AT&T and corporate side, I did see a lot of during my years, and my years with AT&T was toward the end of like mid to end of the 90s. So it was very, very common for me to see Black women in some kind of executive leadership role. In going to another organization, I was the only Black face in the room with the highest degree. So I know I've seen both sides of that. But I want to ask you, Ashley, when you saw that and that was the norm, emotionally, what was going on with you in regards to how you felt about your opportunities?
I mean, it kind of like set the bar high. Like, I mean, I'm like, oh, I can do a lot of stuff. Like, because there's so many positions between where I started and where Kenyatta was at. So for me, like, one of the things that I recognized too, I was like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to go back to school because I found something. And I did get diagnosed and found out that I had all these learning differences, which also was helpful in like holding down a career and everything else. But I did get a degree in software development and security. And so now like I'm still kind of like trying to find like what my path is, like what I actually want to work on. And for me, like with the company N-Dash that I work for now, we basically like learn together, which is really cool. And so us diving into like React, it feels really natural to me because I'm also an artist. So being able to do front end development and in like a really dynamic way in that visual part is like really exciting to me. So yeah, I don't know if I'd necessarily ever want to like run my own company or be like a CIO. I just love building things to help people. Like that's my passion. And so I think I'll always be a developer.
Yeah, and that's the creative side because even for me, I designed Own It magazine. So where people would say, "Oh, you're not going to want to do that forever," I don't necessarily know that I would not want to do it forever because that's the creative side. That's the side I get to just chill out, get quiet time, and have fun building because I put it together. It's boom, 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 boom. So it's second nature to me, and it's very natural. What's really beautiful too, Ashley, and then we'll get back to the other authors. Is that for you to look and see the different ways that you learn, you still accelerated. I mean, you did 4.0 or because you were moving so fast. With all of even with whatever challenges you may have had faced, highly intellectual, a high level achiever with you, not even, having a strong mentor, being able to understand that you need to position yourself on organizations and boards. You are navigating your way, and that clarity will come. I always say it's called discovery. You evolve, you discover more, you evolve some more. So I just want to commend you. You're on a great path.
Yeah, and I hope I didn't misspeak. I didn't have a 4.0. I had a 1.4.
Oh, a 1.4.
GPA.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was terrible in school. Like I was told I would never go to college. So this is
Okay.
like
Because
it's like
that's what I was
lifesaver.
like, it's going. I think, wait a minute.
Oh no.
There are challenges, but even still, because IT is more on the mathematical side. Anyway, it's the high intellectual side of your brain. Anyway, so everybody does learn differently. You know, I didn't realize I was a high achiever, and I always was a high achiever. But in school, academically, you would see me as a C average student only because no one knew how to tap in. No one knew how to tap in and unleash that was in me. Because once I became an adult, my kids were kind of grown. I am a distinguished Toastmaster. Like you said on my credentials, 200 magazines have been designed by me and published within the last 3 years, not even 2 to 3 years. So once that's unleashed, that's why mentors and coaches are so important for them to be effective in their work. Because once you tap into someone and you let them know who they are, you unleash that beast that's inside. They will soar like nothing before. So what I want to do is I want to charge the authors and say, all right, you guys got this amazing information in here. You got this wealth of lessons learned, words of wisdom, encouragement. How are you going to get it out there to the world? How are you going to get it out there to the world? Because some people that really need to read this are not going to go on the shelf and pick it up. How are you going to be the boots on the street, getting this out there? And I want to charge you, Pamela, if you would kind of respond to that first. What is your strategy for getting it out there?
Well, my strategy is that one, I have a lot of layers to what I'm currently doing right now. So that I'm president and CEO of the Southern Maryland Minority Chamber. I cover Charles, Calvert, St. Mary's, Southern Prince George's. And Charles is now the richest Black county in America, which Prince George's is not real happy with us right now. So I have all those counties to do things with. And when I do programs, I collaborate with all the other partner organizations. So if there's the Charles Chamber of Commerce, I work with them. I work with St. Mary's. I work with Economic Development. I work with SDBC, Small Business Development. And so when I do programs, I invite all of their members to be part of that group. So me and one of the others, we'll be doing like book signings because there's two of us in the chamber and we can do book signings and get them in to do those things. And as soon as I say it, everybody said, oh, I want to get a copy of that. And then you're going to sign it, right? So that's how using that. I'm also a specialist for the Maryland, used to be PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We help small businesses get federal contracts. They just changed the name about a month ago to Apex Accelerator. And so I'm out. I've probably talked about that change around so much recently that at those opportunities, I talk about this opportunity. And so I put it out there. I have a team that some of you ladies may have seen it when you've been put out there. They're posting everything about the different people. And they make sure that you guys know when Kenyatta puts a piece out about whoever in the book. And so they're flooding it in our social media, branding it, those kinds of things. So that's how, by using the network I already have, I'm communicating what we are doing here so that we can get it out there.
Yeah, that is incredible because it's so important for not only for the book to be written, but to make sure that it gets into the hands of the people for them to actually see it and be able to just glean from it. Because it's interesting that a few of us in the room are saying we did not have mentors. We didn't, and this whole coaching thing is great, but are we coaching at the level to dig in and help and really, really help folks? And so we want to talk a little bit more about your chapters. And so, Maria, I want you to share. You talked about a little bit about your chapter when we first started. Could you go in a little bit deeper? What are some of the without giving the chapter away, what's some of the expectation that the reader should get excited about?
Well, for me, there are many facets, and to listen to you ladies here just talk about your careers and the inability to have someone to guide you. I experienced that early on in my career, but in the middle and the end, I was afforded opportunities for mentors, which helped me to propel my career to where I am today. And so in my chapter, I think I'm one of the few on here that's an engineer by degree. It's about engineering your success through mentoring. And so that's kind of what I talk about, how to obtain, what you should be doing, how to reach out, how many should you have, where should they come from, things of that nature. So just trying to help people to identify that this is something for you. You can acquire one, know where to go and get one, and use it to your benefit. And don't forget, it's a relationship. So you're not only learning from the mentor, but they are learning from you as well.
Awesome. And so, Jacqueline, did you have any, because I know you're sitting there on the edge, did you have any questions for any of our authors?
I wanted to go back to Sabrina, and I want to kind of touch on the not being afraid to let your voice come forth, and how you just didn't let anything take and push you back into being someone that you're not. Because there is an art to remaining authentic. And people think that authenticity means that you show up with your hair natural or in braids. Or authenticity is who you are at your core. And what's down on the inside, the genius. And sometimes people don't even know they show up in excellence every day and they're very successful, but they haven't found their genius zone yet. And from listening to you, you obviously knew your genius zone. And so when you were faced with that, how did you navigate those waters?
Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for asking that question. And I think you would then really appreciate my chapter title. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this for the public. Drum roll, please, everyone. Drum roll, please. The chapter title, the topic is work-life balance. To your point, authenticity. The chapter title, y'all ready?
We ready.
Unbalanced, untethered, and unbothered. By Sabrina Lowery, the tech evangelist. That is my chapter. And so when I use those three words, being unbalanced was absolutely to promote work-life balance, right? So there was a pun intended there. The untethered, y'all know we are tethered to these things right here, these devices, these things right here. And so what does untethered look like to you? And so I use the story of a hot air balloon being tethered to the ground. I'm not going to tell y'all the whole chapter, but y'all get the summation of what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
And then the unbothered is absolutely where Sabrina Lowery shows up as her authentic self, as the beaming light of energy in the room, as the ray of sunshine that everybody wants those hugs and kisses and nothing but good vibes. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so even though there were not people that looked like me, behaved like me, dressed like me, did what I did anywhere in my IT career, I still showed up as my best self. I made sure my project deadlines were met. I exceeded every goal because I too, Marissa, am a high achiever, and I've always known that. So let's rewind all of that and go into a little bit of the childhood. Y'all are probably like, where does this bubbly personality come from? Well, I am a Jersey girl who aspired at one time to be on Broadway with Tisha Campbell Martin.
All right now.
She and I were auditioning for roles on Broadway back in the day at the same time. But y'all know my mama was a single mama. She had me at 16. And so when a 16-year-old has a little girl and she's a single mother, she knows the hardship in the entertainment industry. And so mother said, listen, I love you and I know that you are fantastic on stage. I had every lead role in our school play. I was a cheerleader. I was on the pep squad at college at the University of Florida, bussing kicks and splits. But then I sure enough was in that computer lab with both of my babies, nursing one in one arm and geeking out the other time. So my chapter is going to give y'all just a little bit of tidbits on how I do it, who I do it for. And not only that, but some of the little secrets that might just help me lift my seeds as I climb. Because I do intend to leave a legacy for those 3 boys of mine named Chris, Corey, and Caleb.
All right now. Caleb had another spirit.
There you go. There you go. And you know, that's so important because I didn't wake up as I don't have that testimony that I started out operating in my authenticity. I, again, you know, some of us are really old school. So I came through the late 70s, 80s, and even moving into the early 90s, where every day you're changing based on the feedback that you're getting. And you're showing up in excellence and you're doing what everybody says and tells you to do. And then there's this blueprint that they give you, but it's their blueprint for success. And you're trying to figure out, okay, what, who? And so I had to go, and I call it a little different. And this is very much what your chapter is about, is what I actually teach in Revolution Ascension. And I had to become untethered. I had to become unbothered. I had to find out that just because I was showing up in excellence, that there was a higher level for me, and I had to find my genius zone. And my genius zone didn't have anything to do with technology. My genius zone is what propels me to go further in my technology career. So I love your story and thank you for sharing that with us. And I cannot wait to physically put my hands on the book to read all of your stories because it's needed in this day and time. You will be surprised that people don't know. I asked a client, and I said, here's some things that you need, but I need to know if you understand who and what they are. I said, you need a mentor, you need a rabbi, you need a sponsor, you need a therapist. And the therapist they got, but they said, oh, what's a rabbi? And what's the difference between a sponsor and a mentor? Now that's critical for us to be able to teach that. Because what you say to your mentor, you cannot say to your sponsor.
Oh
and
my gosh,
you know,
yes.
And your sponsor, you have to know how to go seek the sponsor out, because the sponsor is not going to do you any, justice and help you if the sponsor doesn't have power. Your sponsor has to have power. Your rabbi has to have power and influence. So it's all of those things that are needed for us to share, because there's so many things that got us to where we are that don't have anything to do with our brilliance around technology. And much like, some of you ladies, I came through and I did every job. You cross over because the industry crosses over. I can remember going and working on ATM machines. And I can remember, going when networks and infrastructure came on the scene. First, it was terms like data processing, MIS, IT. And then we moved into networks and infrastructure, those software quality engineering. So as I navigated through, and the help desk, because technical help desk turned into call centers. And there was all of the technology behind that and the growth of automatically the phone rings and the screen pops with everything that you need to know. So all of these things, they seem like they're complicated or technology. They're really not. That was the easy stuff. It was navigating the waters and not losing who you are at your essence and still progressing in an organization and making it to the C-suite level. Now that was the challenge. So it's wonderful that all this information is going to help these ladies and men as well in how to get there, because the formula sometimes has nothing to do with the education and your ability to learn. And I say that, Ashley, I love your story. And one of my pet peeves with the educational system is I don't believe in the labels, and I don't agree with all of this ADD, ADHD. Anybody that has ADD, and ADHD, to me, those are the geniuses. You just haven't figured out how to work with them yet. Their brains are doing something. And listen, I don't have a degree in neuroscience, but I've had enough experience dealing with my own brain and the brains of all of my children, my nieces, my nephews. As you go through this, it becomes obvious to you that these children are very eccentric, they're very gifted and talented. People just don't know what to do with them. So I'm still waiting for somebody to figure out what to do with the ADD and the ADHD kids, because you're not tapping into their genius and their brilliance. That is the problem. Get a formula for that. So I applaud you with everything that you're doing. And I'm looking to see, you sitting on somebody's stage, and I'm going to look and say, oh, this Women in History Month, I remember her. She's sitting on the stage with Oprah being interviewed about her career and how she navigated. And I don't speak those things lightly. I tell you, Sabrina and I are related because I really am crazy. When I realize that that's where my genius is, it really is. I tell people, if you want to get to know really what it means to find your genius in your crazy, I tell them to Google the crazy ones, Steve Jobs. He made a commercial, and the commercial's called The Crazy Ones. Watch that commercial, because we're really geniuses in disguise. People just don't know what to do with us. So now we have to teach them what to do with us, and we have to teach them what to do with the others that are coming along. So I'm looking to see you, sweetheart, at some point in time being interviewed by somebody, and I'll be able to say, I remember Ashley, we were on the Own It interview.
And I really think like that's how the term like neurodivergent came out. Like that's like something a lot of us that are autistic, ADHD are claiming that as like our own narrative, as a positive way of saying, our brain works differently. And, like that's basically like what my chapter is about, is accessibility, intersectionality, and inclusion in tech. Oh, that's my son. So like, accessibility is not just like bringing these, like normalizing people like me in the workplace. It's also in the tools that we create as developers, because I find like a lot of people are adding things to make them more accessible to people that have, hearing challenges, visual challenges as an afterthought. And it also shows up in the way that they recruit people that have different styles of learning or disabilities. So I'm trying to like really push like neurodivergence and accessibility as being the first thought, not an afterthought.
Exactly.
Can I jump in, Jacqueline and Ashley, because I have a son who is on the spectrum. He is on the autism spectrum, and he has ADHD. And so as a parent of a son who only in this past 7 years of my life, in my journey of motherhood, this experience, to both of your points, is to teach and then also to learn the strategies. And so the second book that I've authored in my real life is called Social Etiquette, because I used to sit behind that mirrored glass wall when my son would be in speech therapy, and the language and the speech and language processing disorder that my child has. I needed ways to go into education, Ashley, and teach the teachers how to give my child the tools, but also get some etiquette while doing so. And so that is another one of the things that I advocate for is assistive technology. And those things, they're not just talked about. So I just want to throw that out there because some of us don't even know when people have an invisible disability. And then they're just kind of pigeonholed into, oh, they can only do this, Ashley. Oh, they can only do that, Jacqueline, right? But I will never let that happen to my 12-year-old son. As a matter of fact, we just came from karate, and my baby will be a black belt in Taekwondo at the end of this month. So I don't let anybody tell him or deny him what I know is his, rightfully so. So I just want to throw that in there as well.
Oh, and I'm going to tell you, you guys are going to have me airing this on BTG's platform because that's Bridging the Gap, Strategizing for Student Success. And yes, we do have a magazine for that. This is so amazing, you know, and it's discussion that's needed. And so for those of you, we've been talking. You're probably saying to yourself, audience, what are they talking about? Ladies in tech. You hear the conversation. It's a techie conversation. And so these ladies are all authors, co-authors of this amazing literacy, this amazing book that's going to help you to navigate through your career successfully. Lessons learned, words of wisdom, just insight, you know, it's just like having a coach and a mentor without having the physical body of a coach and a mentor. And so I want to segue over because we've had the visionary here sitting. I know she's been on edge all night listening to her co-authors, wanting to chime in. And so we want to give you an opportunity as we close out tonight, Kenyatta, to share a little scope. One, when is the book going to be available to the public for them to purchase? I know that you're also doing some, I guess, pre-sales. So share a little bit about that. And also, I want to hear from you. What are the boots on the ground to get this book out and into the hands? I like what Pamela said, where she's talking about going to the different chambers of commerce and everything else. How do we get it to our young people and to you know, the colleges and things like that? Because, you know, Kenyatta, you and I have spoken about that too, and getting in there and making sure that our children, our young people, or even just our young adults, Ashley, our young adults have something to launch them in the right direction. And I'll say this, Sabrina and Jacqueline, Lulu, I knew from the beginning that I always knew who I was. The difference for me was I did not have adults around me to help me to navigate. That's the only thing that I did. But me, I was saying it last night, I don't do bullies. I'm nice. You play with me for a little while, but if I got to come out of the bullpen, I'm coming out, and you better be ready. I was the same thing with my children. Very, very covering of my kids. You got to advocate for your children because your children are out there. And even though adults are supposed to be good role models, many times they're not. And I'll segue back over to you, Kenyatta. Give it to us. Tell us where we're going to get the book, what you're doing, what's your vision. Share with us.
All right. So first, let's just start with the book will be in pre-sales as of next week. March 15th starts pre-sales. I will definitely have all the authors who like to go around and they can share with you how you can actually order the book from them so we can hear from the authors from that aspect. But March 15th starts the pre-sales. We'll have pre-sales for about 30, 45 days until May 5th, which will be the virtual book launch. So we will have registration going out for virtual book launch. We'll have some amazing speakers. We're going to have Dr. Sherwood is going to be one of the speakers. I also have a young lady, Jasmine Lowery. She is a mental health professionalist that it has an IT background that will also be a speaker for the virtual book launch. And now kind of other goodies and all that will be involved in the virtual book launch. And we'll also have our Best Souls campaign around the same time frame. So now, it's interesting about where we're going and how to get this book out there. So today, as I stated earlier, I was at the Baltimore Design School for Design, and I was invited by the National Coalition of 100 Black Women And it was just even talking to the kids about it and wanting to me to share it with them about this book, as well as the 100 Women Coalition. I wanted to share about this book. I also have a Taste of Technology program that I have this whole list of that I've really added a lot of people to today from having being at the Baltimore Design School. Uh, Taste of Technology is this program we have kids and you're trying to introduce technology careers to the kids. This is the perfect group to have this book to be able to understand and maneuver their ways through a technology career. So I'm also on all kinds of social media and being able to share in all these. And people, kind of sleep a little bit on Facebook when it comes to these groups. There are so many different groups. When I say there's hundreds of Facebook groups that revolved around technology, women in technology that could really, really use this book. So I'm already in half of those groups and wanting to share as much as I can about what this book does and what it can do in those groups as well. So I'm screaming this book from the rooftops wherever I go for the most part.
Yes, yes,
Grab
yes.
your megaphone, sis.
We're going to show the book. So here is the book, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies in Tech, sharing expertise for a successful career. We have with us tonight the visionary author, Kenyatta Powers-Rucker, and she is the Own It cover girl for our special edition for women celebrating women and for this month and beyond. It's all about the sisterhood. And what I really enjoyed about tonight's interview is that we didn't hold back. We didn't hold back. We kept it real. We talked about it. We have so much in common when we really talk about all that we've gone through. We really have a lot in common. We're all saying, where were our mentors? And we need to change this in our community. I wrote in Own It, in my book Own It, there's 3 pathways to your passion, and one of it was volunteering. And volunteering is so critically important in our communities, and I don't think that we have a roundtable discussion about it enough. At dinner, riding in the car, going to do chores, running, shopping, we don't talk about giving back, paying it forward. And that's where mentoring and coaching take place. It's to teach us how to navigate through these things that are never going to be in a textbook. We may never have access to, any form of literacy that's going to tell us the real deal about these challenges. I'm excited because I know you ladies will be back. I'm looking forward to it. Pamela, I want to hear more and more about the history that you know, so that our audience not only just hears about the book, but who's behind the authors. So I'm looking forward to having a marathon of interviews with you because we got to go in deep. We just touched the surface of who you are, what you're about, and why people really need to take heed to U.S. authors and this book. Again, Ladies in Tech, it will be available to you for pre-sale next week. Then they are going to come to market with this book in May. And so we are really excited. We did what a night to have you on International Women's Day, to have you on a historic day. And I'm excited and honored that you guys are taking center stage and owning it with me. We are going to close out for the night, but please, we got some backstage conversation that we need to have before we let you leave. So, guys, we are out. Guys, audience, have a blessed night. Shout out to Amina Scott, one of our co-authors, for chiming in with us all night long. And we thank you for watching and viewing and making a comment. So thank you. We're out.